there's a lot of thoughts on this, but England versus Nigeria, man,
Wow.
was this crazy. So I know
penalty.
England. I know, and I know England's your team. I had Nigeria kind of going through on this one. Unfortunate, they hit 2 crossbars in this game. Such a physical, tough, such a team with presence.
Absolutely.
And we saw that from Canada, as us being Canadian, Canada's first game. I think after watching that game, I was like, this Nigerian team can absolutely go very far. So a very tough way for them to exit. Obviously, penalties suck. You said it yourself, Julia. You hate to see teams go home on penalties. But what are your thoughts on England and how they played at this point in time?
Yep. Definitely. Well, I mean, first of all, this game actually turned out exactly how I expected it to. I thought it was going to be gritty, strong, aggressive, and I definitely was like, Nigeria is going to put up this massive, massive fight against England, and they're going to be able to expose England's weaknesses, which I personally think are a little bit more on the attack, of course, which was another point that I think England's got to clean up when they play Colombia next, because I don't know. They have so much star power on their attack, and they couldn't find a way to break through Nigeria's backline. However, that's an attest to Nigeria, because they're strong, they're tight, they're compact, they're fit, they're aware. And England had a very, very difficult time with that. And like I said, I just, there are points where I'm like, Nigeria's going to take it. England's falling apart. It's not coming home anymore, But Nigeria, they also earlier on pointed out some of England's weaknesses and holes in England's own backline as well. So that's going to be some learnings that Sarina's going to have to take into this next game. It wasn't England's best performance. I honestly think England has had a little bit of a lackluster Women's World Cup, in my opinion, albeit aside that 6-1 win over China. They played outstanding. That's the England that we're used to seeing. But England, I think they're playing pretty average football for what they can do and what the players I think on their team have. And if they continue to play like that, Colombia's going to win. That's my hot take in the quarterfinals. And now with Lauren James out, I don't know, but I do have to attest England for the fact that, sure, I personally don't think they're playing their best. However, they're
getting the job done.
They're getting it done. That's what's, I wouldn't say it's terrible. It's just not the spark I'm used to seeing. It's good. I think it's pretty good for them, but it's not their best. And they're going to need to bring their best in the next round. So I'm very curious to see what happens.
I completely agree with you. And it's almost like when you think about the U.S. women's national team, it's almost like you wish you could say that about them, right? Like they didn't do everything it took to get the job done, and that's why they're home. But then you have England, this unbelievable side. They just won the Euro, and they're not having the best World Cup so far till this point, but they're getting the job done and they're figuring it out. And you got to give the English national team credit for doing that, right? Like it's not an easy job to take on Nigeria in the round of 16. Let's be honest. And they're getting their job done, right?
Oh, totally.
So I understand what you're saying with the Lauren James red card. This right now is the next biggest trending topic on social media.
Man.
What a moment.
Yes.
Also credit to England for playing a man down for all of that time and extra time. That's, again, not an easy feat to do. So props to England because they handled their business.
Nigeria.
Yes.
They had to refresh themselves and refocus. Yep.
And that's not easy to do that late in the game. So I actually give a lot of kudos to England because it may not have been pretty, but they figured it out. And maybe they're going to start like kind of getting it together here in the quarterfinals, which I agree with you. I think Colombia is going to win, but we'll get into that in a moment. I know I said Nigeria was going to be England, but I really think this Colombian team that's now made history. This is the furthest they've ever got at the Women's World Cup. Very strong performance against Jamaica. We're always talking about Linda Caicedo, but there's also Usme, who's who wore the captain's band today. Just how she scored her second goal of the Women's World Cup. Even how you saw that goal happen against Jamaica, Anna Guzman, like when she got that ball, how quickly she switched the point of attack and how incredible that long ball was, like literally on the foot of Usme and Usme's touch and how she scored it. This is a Colombian team that's tough. They're physical. They're skillful. They're smart. I think that they're going to give England some problems, Julia.
Yes, I think they will. And Oh, it's tough. I feel like, okay, well, I have to say England. They're my family. You know, I have to say England's gonna go through, but I don't know. I think Colombia is a very tough team. I think England actually, I think it was probably good that they played Nigeria in the round of 16 because they'll now have experience playing with such a physical, aggressive team because Colombia is going to come out there with so much aggression. And confidence and speed, and they're not going to be easy to break down. So I don't know if maybe this is a moment for the Brits to be like, okay, like, we got to turn it up because we're going to lose. We almost lost against Nigeria and just figure it out now. So I don't know. I think Colombia is going to give them the test of their life.
But it's tough, right? Because
so hard.
England's done what they've had to do. It hasn't been perfect. It hasn't been pretty. Nope. But here we are talking about them in the quarterfinals, and they're a team that gets it done. Mm-hmm. So I don't know. It's tough. Honestly, this is what I love so much about this Women's World Cup is it goes one of two ways. One, expect the unexpected, and two, you just really have no idea what's going to happen. Like sometimes you're in the past you'd watch games, you're like, okay, the US shoo-in, Sweden shoo-in, Germany for sure. Now we're like Canada, US, Brazil, Germany, all out. You know, we're trying to figure out who's going to win between England and Colombia. England, who just won the Euros, Colombia, who's never been to the quarterfinals in Women's World Cup history, and we're having a hard time deciphering. It's the beauty of this Women's World Cup. Mm-hmm. I think, honestly, I think if England can get by Colombia and handle their business, I think that they could go on to win the whole thing.
Yeah, I think this has been a moment.
I actually really think that. I think that if England win this game, they're going to go on to win the whole thing, or we'll see when they meet Japan.
Oh, God.
But I would say right now, based on what I've seen, Colombia with the momentum that they have and the players that they have with their ability to kind of score these insane goals where we haven't been seeing that from England aside from the China game. No. Colombia edges this one out.
Yep. Oh my gosh. The lack of attacking threat from the Lionesses is a major problem. And if they can't figure that out, I think they will be going home.